This is Carla Hinton reporting for the Oklahoman and NewsOK.com. I'm here in the studio today with Mahn. He is pastor of Life Care Ministry at Crossings Community Church. Thanks so much for coming today.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Well, we asked you here today to discuss a topic that is often overlooked at this time of year, the holiday blues. The winter holidays, particularly the Christmas season, are known as times of joy and happiness, family togetherness, big meals, lots of big meals.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, singing and fellowship. But for some people, the season brings with it additional stress for a variety of reasons. For others, the recent loss of a loved one or a divorce or marital separation also may cause stress and grief during what is supposed to be a happy time of year. So I have a few questions for you today.
Alrighty.
Okay, good. Well, as a licensed professional counselor, have you heard of this phenomenon known as the holiday blues or blue Christmas, and what are some of the reasons behind it?
I have heard about it. We are at the church, Crossings Community Church, are pretty sensitive that there's a lot of expectation around the holiday, a lot of traditions, a lot of rituals that push the celebration of the season, and that is really a good thing. Okay. But in that celebration, there's often hidden stresses. Right. There is a realization that perhaps due to a loss of due to death or perhaps a divorce, separation, that someone that was around the tree last year is not there and present this year. So loss becomes kind of mixed in with that expectation of celebration, and that can be really challenging and a stress in of itself. And so we try to be very sensitive in our ministry to support folk who are experiencing perhaps that loss, and also just to be sensitive to everyone that in merrymaking there is a lot of work that goes into that, and that has a price tag as well. Okay. So looking at those themes with people and trying to lead them into maybe a reduced stress holiday experience is a good thing.
Okay. Well, tell me, and I should have asked this before, but tell me a little bit about Life Care Ministries.
Okay. Life Care Ministry is a part of Crossings Community Church. We're one of a variety of ministries, but our commission is to help folk because we believe God is calling us to spiritual maturity and to emotional maturity. We get to walk alongside folk in counseling, in support groups, in recovery groups, helping them find God's fullness for their life. And so that's the commission of Life Care. I've been with them 10 years now, and we have 5 therapists on staff. We are all licensed so that we are able to provide clinically what we know to be the best support, as well as as pastors, and all of us are pastors, to shepherd them into the fullness that God hopes for their lives.
Okay, good. Well, having said that, how do churches typically help people cope with the holidays? I know that Crossings typically has a service of remembrance, I believe. I think you've already had it.
Yes, we did. We did Sunday a week ago. We're really aware that families change, and they change for due to death, they change due to perhaps divorce, but that configuration of who's around the holiday table changes year in and year out. Sure. And really when we lose someone in death, it really can challenge the joy of the season, because we're really aware that they're not there. Right. And so we offer a service of remembrance that allows us to commemorate and remember those who were not here this year. And actually we have folk that come back because that sense of vacant chair, if you will, can transcend many years. Okay. And so we want to be sensitive and allow them an opportunity to say, hey, it is the holiday, sure, but I miss my loved one, and mindful that they were participating in holidays of the past.
Okay, interesting. Well, what tips would you give for people who may be experiencing the holiday blues right now?
Okay, I have several. Okay. I think part of what leads to holiday blue, the challenge of enjoying the fullness of Christmas, often are the expectations that we place on the holiday. Yes. They become nostalgic, they become sentimental, they become bigger than life, and we become really disappointed. if they don't happen the way that we think they should.
Sure.
And we spend and expend an enormous amount of energy, financial resource, emotional resource, sometimes family resource, trying to create this perfect holiday. And so what we try to do is say, to experience the holiday in a more realistic approach, to reduce the expectation that it be the perfect holiday, because they rarely are. Christmas Vacation is, to me, one of the funniest movies out there. Our family watches it every year, and it drives home just that sense of perfect holiday really doesn't exist. And so we want to monitor our fatigue levels, we want to monitor our frustration levels, we want to be aware that there's often fierce loneliness because we don't have certain people there that we would hope are there. And so we try to encourage people to fill their time with things that are meaningful but realistic, both financially and with emotional resource, so to do.
Okay, that reminds me, I'm divorced. I've been divorced for many, many years, but that first Christmas with me and just the kids, I had 3 small kids, and I was determined that we were going to have the Christmas that we always had, and even though it was a very sad time. And so anyway, their dad always made sure that he would have a live Christmas tree. So I'm going to, as a single mom, I'm going to make sure that they have this live Christmas tree. Well, I had this little car, a little Geo Storm, and so you wouldn't believe all the craziness I had trying to get a big live tree in the window, well, in the back seat of that car. And so I did that probably for like 5 years because I wanted them to have the Christmas, you know, like none other. And then eventually I segued out of it. I realized, like you said, that expectations, you didn't have to have it, everything didn't have to be perfect. We didn't have to have the live tree to have this great family Christmas, but I remember that and just this idea that I had to go do it.
I think it's important. Traditions are important. They regulate us, they give us something to look forward to, they tell us who we are, and so I really am kind of a tradition guy. But I have learned, working with folk and in my own life, it's really important to take each year differently and say, you know, the kids are now in their 20s, I've got now one in his 30s. The Christmas isn't going to be like it was in 1990, right? This is 2015, and so let's shape the Christmas to what's going to work best for the family now. And if it doesn't, if meal doesn't happen at 5:30, that's okay. If it doesn't happen on Christmas Day, but we're going to do it on the 26th or the 27th because that's when we can gather. I think it's really important. What are we trying to achieve here? What is the emotional and relational experience that we're hoping to get? And then let's flex to the end goal and not be sure that all the details have to happen for me to walk away and say, yeah, that was a successful Christmas. So if I stay nimble and flexible in my expectations, I'm not only am I not going to be disappointed, I'm probably going to be more present in the moment. And I think we get so caught in trying to create this ideal that we fail to be in the moment and really experience what we are looking for. And then for me as a pastor, you know, what is this holiday really about? You know, it is become in our culture an annual observance that is full of food, a celebration that it includes a lot of relationship, but ultimately it has a spiritual foundation in the birth of Jesus Christ. And so at the church, we're always bringing our congregation back to that reality. This isn't just a sentimental experience, but it's the birth of the Christ child who would become Jesus Christ on the cross. And that journey begins with his birth and ends with his resurrection. We are constantly trying to remind folk, don't lose the bigger picture of what's going on here. And I think that also helps us right-size it. This is a spiritual experience as much as an emotional / family experience. And to do that experience in family as well as in your faith community, I think allows the season to be truly what it can be.
Okay. Well, what about people who may know someone who is experiencing the holiday blues? Maybe they had someone pass away during this year, and this will be the first Christmas or the first holiday season that they will spend without them. How do we, as community members, tend to help lift them up, or maybe just be there for them?
I think that's a great question. I think one of the informing truths for me is everybody grieves differently.
Okay.
Everybody experiences loss individually. Okay. Are there some common themes that are often observable? Yes, there are. Okay. But I want to be really sensitive to the individual. If this is a highly private individual, and I know such an individual, they really didn't want to get into it, and they kind of put on the fun mask and just went with the flow. Okay. And you might call it denial, but I think they knew exactly the heart pain they were experiencing. Okay. But it was just best for us to be very sensitive. This is the way they wanted to do the holiday. Others are just pretty open. This hurts, okay. And this isn't Christmas because my family is very different this year. Okay. And to be sensitive, one of the first clients I ever worked on, I'm telling this was 1983, so okay. That's how long ago. One of my first clients as a therapist lost their husband shortly before Thanksgiving. I mean, shortly before Thanksgiving. Okay. And they were a resourced family, and she made the decision that she couldn't go through Christmas, and their 4 kids, she wasn't willing to do that. Okay. So she bought 5 tickets on a cruise ship. Okay. And they went away for Christmas. Okay. And kind of canceled it for that way. Okay. Interestingly, she came back a year later and said, okay, now we have to walk through Christmas without my husband, their father. Right. How are we going to do that? Right. So sometimes you postpone it, but you're going to have to come back and visit again. Hey, our family has changed. Right. And there's a sadness with the change, and then we need to know how to do life in light of loss. Okay. And so I think that becomes a real opportunity. Ultimately, insensitivity, I always want to acknowledge this is a different Christmas, okay. And I try to be very careful how I do that, okay. But I don't want to make the mistake of just pretending everything is okay. Okay. So gently I'm going to say, I know this is a different Christmas for you, and I'm wondering if it's a difficult Christmas. And I'm here for you to support you through it and let you talk, let you cry if that's what you need to do, okay. Let you laugh if that's what you need to do, and be there to enjoy that with you. So that maybe it's a bittersweet experience rather than just a bitter experience or a pretend sweet experience. Can we be realistic? And for a lot of people, I think they can. For some people, maybe not yet. Okay.
Is there anything else you'd like to add that maybe we haven't talked about but you think is very relevant to this conversation?
You know what just popped in my head was be in the moment. Okay. And not try to plan all the moments ahead, because for sure you're going to miss this moment. Okay. Looking ahead at all the moments to come and feeling the fret of that, the fatigue of that, and missing out. Be in the moment. And in some ways maybe that sounds easy and trite thing to say, but I think if we can discipline ourselves to really experience it moment to moment, then I really think the presence of Christ, the joy of the season is more available to us.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
This has been beneficial.
Great.
Thank you. Thanks so much for coming in. For more on this topic, go to the Oklahoman.
Thanks to our friends at Tracta's Flowers and Garden Center for the poinsettias. Tracta's has everything you need this holiday season, from beautiful flowers and poinsettias to expert decorators who can spruce up your home this holiday season.